these pads or just like?
Well, it's a full electric drum kit.
Oh, it's electric.
Yeah.
Oh, so of course it is. I didn't even look at
Yeah, exactly. So what's in here is under there. You've got 3. On some of them, it's 3 or 4 little you know the little things that girls use, like those little foam
electrode thing.
No, foam, like they're in like a teardrop shape, and they use them to like blot on foundation and stuff.
Sort of. Yes.
Yeah. There's a bunch of those basically in there, and they take the signal to then put through an electronic plate.
Right.
That screws in. It screws in at the same level as the lugs. Okay. And then from there, it basically, that's why you can go like real soft all the way to really hard and hear the full spectrum. It's very, very sensitive. So you can change the sensitivity, but it's actually very sensitive.
Right, very cool.
And obviously it looks like a real drum kit, which has the benefit.
But you have, so you've just bought those and mounted it to just your drum kit.
No, this is how it comes. So this is how it comes, but I could actually completely unscrew all the electronic parts. Right. So where normally the sound hole is, that's the input jack. But if I was to take that out, there'd just be a sound hole there, and I could absolutely use them. I have no idea what they'd sound like, because they're just like, I'm pretty sure they're just like poplar shells. They're nothing like posh, because they're just whatever wood that just does the job. But then I rewrapped it with a Drum Factory Project wrap, which is one of the guys I endorse and work for.
Right. Okay.
So it normally looks like that silver.
Right. Okay. I see.
But I put it in the funky wrap. F-Note. Japanese.
Interesting.
So I use this in gigs all the time.
Interesting.
This comes out the house for gigs as often as the acoustic drum kit. There. Yeah, because it obviously has the look, but no one can be upset with it because it's obviously an electric kit. So it's still small enough that it doesn't take up as much space as the real drum kit, but it's
and you're happy playing it, like you're happy in the way it plays.
Yeah, so it has a very good feel. Like the hi-hat and things are the big ones. Hi-hat, also the weight. The weight of the cymbals is actually very intuitive of a real drum kit.
Right. They've put the time in to do it right.
Yeah. And obviously I think the sounds are fantastic. Like it's designed not to have lots of boo boo, like silly sounds like you'd expect. But it does have like multiple cymbals, but rather than being like cymbal 1, cymbal 3, cymbal 5, it's like 18-inch dry crash.
Sure.
And you go, well, I know what that would sound like, and then obviously you can tune them all down. So
without the licensing, they've just got like similar names to the brand.
Yeah, a Pilgeon. No, it's not quite like that. Sure. It's just all the size and stuff, and it's like a range of different ones for all the different drums. And I bought it a couple of years ago. I had like a divining moment where I had a gig that I was driving to. And as I'm driving there, I get the call, you got an electric kit, don't you? And I was like, no. Right. Don't come because they're not going to be happy with that. And I was like, right, okay. And once I got over the frustration of that situation and I was like, you've had 3 weeks, you could have double checked. I was like, well, I don't really want that to happen again.
Yeah.
And like we didn't live here, we hadn't bought this place yet, but I was like, well, I don't really want that to happen again if I don't have to. If I can avoid that, that would be amazing.
Sure.
So basically I just said, well, what would I like to get? Because the Roland one's like stupidly expensive. And this one is sort of like, it's not cheap because it's the business, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't have a real cheap tier.
Yeah,
like some of those Yamahas and stuff, they have like the kids tier that you put in like schools and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
This doesn't really have that. It just has...
It's built for professional use.
Yeah, it's like it has the ones that are like the shallow ones that are all on a rack, or it has ones that look like drum kits. There's no ones on a plastic rack that's rickety and shit. They don't do that. They just have, like you say, performance ones that you can use that sound the business. So I was like, I'll have a go. And if I'm going to do it, I'll do it so that I don't feel embarrassed to play it when I assume I'm going to get opportunities. And whether it's Palmwoods Hotel, stuff like that, I play it all the time.
Yeah, nice. Well, maybe we should just shut this down. You just play some drums for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going to be horrific for any people who are listening to this exclusively. Because I was like, I'll just see how this goes. And I was just happy to, you got me on like my special interest mode where I'm like, yes, let me tell you about drums. I'd love to.
Well, it's funny though you say that because I remember in Sydney, like maybe 2018, 2019, when they were really cracking down on just noise from venues, and it was all getting it was
lockout
getting,
stuff. And
it was getting silly, you know. And we finally got booked to play Beach Road Hotel in Bondi, which for me was like a venue I'd wanted to play at for ages, you know. And we got there to sound check, and the sound guy was like trying to convince us that we don't need to mic the kick. And we're like, but we definitely need to mic the kick along with the rest of the kit, as you would expect to in this room. And he's like, no, I think it's sounding good without the kick.
Was who is this? Just like our venue guy?
Yeah,
like
I can't remember who the sound engineer was.
Oh, so it was actually a sound engineer.
It was the sound engineer.
So it wasn't just some boffin from the venue who's like, oh no, I don't think you need that, son.
Well, he was obviously the mouthpiece for the guy. So yeah, and then they suggested they didn't mic my guitar amp as well. I was like, it's gonna sound bad. Like maybe it's kind of loud enough in a Beatlesy way.
Yeah, but, as long as you've got everything else dialed in, because obviously you can't control the sound.
Sure. Yeah, you forfeited your job. So we kind of followed instructions and we're scratching our heads. And then they came up to us maybe like an hour before we were supposed to go on. Well, maybe a bit earlier because the support act didn't go on either. And they said, yeah, we found out we're being audited tonight. So we were trying to arrange it in a way that we could maybe make sure we're definitely going to pass all the level checks. Sure. They didn't tell us for some reason.
Loop me in. I'm
it was like, really
I'd
weird.
Love to help. So, I don't want to make it harder for you.
Yeah, it was very, very unusual. So they just said, we're pulling the plug on the gig. So here's like a tab because people have come. So
was it a ticketed thing?
No, it was free, but obviously we'd promoted it as hard as we could because it was, for us, it was an awesome show. Like I've seen loads of great shows in that venue. So yeah, but auditing killed my dream.
So what did you do? You just packed up?
No, just drank. they cracked a tab open for us, so like, well, yeah, fair enough. They still paid and all that to their
cool,
to their word.
Cool,
but still,
I wasn't
really about that.
I wasn't sure if you were of course not, but I wasn't sure if you were like hinting that then they did a tab and they're like, and then you can be on your way. And I was like, you did set up and do all that, but how interesting.
Yeah, sucked.
Yeah,
Sydney sucked for a bit there.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was actually just down there with that band I've told you about before with Delacoma. We were just down there doing a stint. We did a Sydney show, like the one next to the Enmore Theatre, the Duke of Enmore, and then we did one in like Newey. But like, anyone who was there from Newcastle said you can't call it Newcastle because the Stag and Hunter is in some places, not Newcastle. Oh fuck, I'm gonna have death threats on this by the end of this. But like so we played there and it was fine, but it's just interesting at that nighttime thing when you're finishing up. If people, I think for a lot of it, for us, we played a free show in Sydney, and because people were like, if they weren't there by the end, then they obviously couldn't be anywhere else. People were there and they stayed because it was a good enough venue that it was the sort of place people could end their night if they were interested in that.
Sure.
And the live music was on till midnight,
right?
Which was different as opposed to being finished by like 10:30. So I was like, it's interesting that's true, but also it was very weird walking out at night and thinking, fuck, it's like 3 a.m. It's like, nah, it's like 12:30. Yeah. 12:30 and there's no one there.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that there was just stragglers after the Enmore Theatre because it was like Pennywise and stuff had done their show. So it was massive amount of people, but they were just sort of walked into our venue because they didn't want to be like in that limbo stage where they're like, I've just seen a great show. I don't really want to go home, but can't do anything now.
Yeah.
It's just a peculiar thing.
It is, like, I don't know. I haven't spent a good amount of time in Sydney for some years, so I don't know what it's like these days overall. But yeah, it was always, just a bit of a waste of like this amazing city that it didn't really have a pulse after 11.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How long did you live there for?
I lived there for 6 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Till 2019, yeah.
And any particular reason why you moved and why you...
Well, I moved there because I was chasing the fat cats. I wanted to rub shoulders with as much industry as possible at the time. So that was 2013, so I was 20 at the time. So that was the goal. Like, rather than like, where's the healthiest music scene? I was like, where are the people...
Where are the big wigs?
Yeah, where are them big wigs at? So that was, I think that was honestly my intention.
Love it.
And I moved out because we decided we wanted to live in the UK for a bit. So, like, I'm from England originally, obviously.
No.
Yeah. I
Fuck
know,
off.
Mate, I know. A few bombshells on this episode, mate.
Wow,
Get ready for the...
Just say, like, wow. You're going to have to give me a moment to compose myself. But yeah.
I'd not lived there since I was a kid. So I was quite keen to go and see what it's like. I'd toured there, like done one big acoustic tour in England, like 20 shows in 2 weeks. So you do the math on that one.
Hello. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a lot of driving. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think it'd be that much driving, because how would you have fitted in the time to do the playing if you're doing that much driving?
Oh, dude, it was silly. But it was good. It was good fun. Yeah, it was literally 20 shows in 14 days. Yeah, it was cool. There's a good crash course on like what it's like to play in England, and I loved it. You know, I was like, wow, this is interesting. You know, this is quite different to touring in Australia, which is like a different beast.
So you like 18, I assume? Was that what you did just before you moved to?
Just before I moved. So I did that in 2019, that tour, and I came back and said, yeah, I think I need to just go live there for a little bit. It just felt like I was picking up on something that I'd been looking for a little bit. So we did that, moved to Manchester in 2019 and came back in 2023. So did 4 years in the UK.
Okay,
Yeah. It's getting interesting because when you sound very British, but can't actually relate to the culture, to the, you know, it's quite interesting. People assume, like, I'll meet Londoners. Well, this is prior to 2019. Over here, I meet Londoners and I'm like, oh mate, you remember that roundabout? Do you remember the Nag's Head next to you? If you go down there, yeah, down that roundabout, turn left. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then when you go left, you just bluffed my way through being British. But now I don't need to bluff. Well, I do need to bluff a little bit, but
that's interesting you say that. My best pal John, he was born in Tassie, and lived all his life in the States, and only recently moved back after we came back in 23 from the US tour, where we met up with him. He joined the band, and then we brought him back, sort of thing. Because like you, he has the flexibility to do both, and his whole thing was like when he was in the States, like he, for whatever reason, was always banana, tomato, potato. And all the Yanks would be like, my God, what is that, sir? And then he'd get over here and everyone's like, oh, wow, you sound so foreign. And he's like, I suppose I do. And it was sort of like, wow. So everyone says when I'm over there, they're like, oh my God, you're so Australian.
Yeah.
And then when he comes over here, they're like, wow, so crazy to hear. Well, I kept thinking he was Canadian for a bit at the cafe he works at. But it was like, wow, you're so American. He's like, am I? Like, I guess. Like, for you, I guess I am.
I'm a bit American. Yeah. It's I think you learn to lean into that, though.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy it. Otherwise, it'd do your head in, you know?
Exactly.
Like, it's not when I'm here, people tell me I sound British. And when I'm in Britain, people tell me I've got an Aussie twang. In Manchester, they say an Aussie twang. I love the Manc G. They like, if there's a G at the end of a word in Manchester, you're going to know about it.
Everyone will hear it.
Absolutely. I love it.
Are you like, do you have any like sport interests or anything like that? Because
not really.
Okay, because I was recently telling, literally the weekend just passed, I was showing John Australian rules football. Like I was showing him AFL, and it was like crazy because like I used to live in Victoria where it was born, and much like me, and then move up here, and the mix is I know about it because I'm from here. I'm from like Victoria or Western Australia or a state that gives a shit. I know about it, stop talking about it, or I have no idea about it because rugby is the only sport I care about. So for me to have someone who was like happily interested in hearing me talk about it, that also had no concept of the sport was such a peculiar thing. I was like, how is this 30-year-old man? He's like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's like, take a seat.
Yeah, literally. It's like me with the drums to start this. So we went for a kick and I was like, exactly. So I was like, well, if you would hold that right now, you wouldn't be able to tackle. And he's like, oh, righto then. So 3 hours later. But he said he had a good time and I didn't force him to say that. So I think it's fine. And now he knows the rules. So
I learnt the rules when I was maybe 15 and some friends wrote me into just trying AFL for the school team. just stood there on the
Interesting.
field like an idiot, got the ball, just got slammed. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is just for everyone else's amusement. Just not telling me how the game works and just letting me pay the price. So that was it. I played my one game of AFL.
So where in Australia have you lived then?
I've lived, I sort of grew up in Bundaberg.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a Bundy accent.
And they made you... Oh, that's what John always says. Whenever someone gets like, oh my God, the accent. And he goes, yep, I'm Tasmanian.
Yeah, you got me, yeah. Yeah, so I moved to Bundy when I was 10 with my family because my dad was born in Australia. So, he's incredibly British, but yeah, he was born Australian. So, yeah, we moved to Bundaberg and then I moved to Brisbane, spent some time in Sydney, spent some time in Fremantle.
Okay, you went in the West, okay.
Yeah, just for a year. That was cool. I like it over there a lot. You've been over?
No, I've never been. I've never been to the West Coast.
I'd highly recommend it. Like it's because it's so isolated. They kind of it's very self-sustained and has this. I don't know. I like it. They've just got a different. It's the same. It's the same country, but it's also just got a slightly different culture that seems to have evolved. It's a bit of Darwinism at its best. It's
exactly.
So far away that like things just operate a little bit differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Things that just got a slight twanger, you could say.
Twang, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about music then. How does that all sort of kick off for you? Like, how early did you start getting into that?
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I was thinking, like, I started writing music when I was, like, 10, maybe. And even though it might not have been a conventional song, I realised I was, like, composing from around 10. So I used to play piano, as lots of kids do. Went through all the grades, nearly all the grades, all but one. And, yeah, I have a cousin in England, in East London, who was always kind of giving me the, he was the plug. He had like good albums for me to listen to as like an 8-year-old, Okay, and he was like exposing me to interest in records at a very early age.
Okay.
So I think that was why it was like, as soon as I had enough technical ability to formulate an idea and actually hear it, I was keen to just make stuff. Yeah, quite early on. Yeah, so I did it all the way through high school, played in bands in high school, did some tours in high school and all that
predominantly
kind of
all
stuff.
keys, bass,
no,
stuff,
actually guitar and vocals.
Okay,
and, got my little frontman syndrome happening,
Okay.
and I had to get that going. And drums in another band in high school as well. We did some small tours and went to South Australia, and like it was very active from quite early on. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
what's the passion then, like instrument wise, then having had a go at all of it?
Just like arranging. Really, it's not really an instrument per se. More and more, I'd say, over the years, it's less of a. This is like, it feels weird to say I play guitar. I'm a guitarist and singer or something like that. It doesn't really.
It doesn't feel like that, you.
Yeah, so I spend so much time mixing and producing and editing and just experimenting with arrangement. That feels like the instrument these days. It's more like studio driven.
Yeah. Okay. So do you get out and play? Like, are you trying to get out and play a bit as well? Like, does it still give you a bit of a buzz? Like,
oh yeah. It's like when I was in Manchester, I was playing so much. Like I loved it. I was playing. And I was also playing covers shows that was sort of my bread and butter there.
Yeah,
which
okay.
I
was going to ask if you were playing your own stuff.
Yeah, so, both. So there's a big, healthy kind of community of original stuff over there. But if you want to pay your bills, there's a street in Manchester where one side is where all the original gigs are and the other side is where all the paid covers gigs are.
That's crazy.
It's the same people, but if you go over there on a Wednesday, you'll go to this side to see them play their songs, and on this side. But yeah, it was cool. I loved it. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed covers shows after kind of turning my nose up at it for many years. And then I realised what an amazing way to pay your bills, making people happy with the music you like. So
that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so did that for some years, and now I've got an 18-month-old little boy at home, so I haven't been playing really since I came back to Australia, like live shows, but I've been recording a lot and put an album out last year, so I'm just adapting to a new pace. But I'm also not like, I'm not going to play shows unless I really, really want to. I think that's healthy. You get to a point where you're like, well, I've definitely done
I've done a few different things. I've done playing songs that I like, but that aren't necessarily what I would love to be sharing, but it pays the bills. And I've done a lot just back to back to back to back. I've done 20 shows in 14 days like a crazy person. And yeah, I think now having done all of that, this is the next season of life, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, well, I think I also, maybe like a year ago when I was deep in the throes of learning how to be a parent, and obviously still am, like I kind of didn't want to do any of it, understandably. You know, you're very like tired and it's a whole new world. Wow, what a poet. Wow. Yeah, you feel like you got to give 100% of yourself.
You
do, yeah. So but also it just kind of turned me off doing something creative for a while. I was like, well, I think I'm done being a creative person. Truly, I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm just not really. That's not me anymore. Not creative anymore. I was just very tired, it turned out. And luckily I had friends that tried to like talk me off the ledge, that have children as well. They were like, just chill, just give it a minute. You'll see, you're fine. Just relax.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I kind of had enough bandwidth to do something creative again, I've just realized I only want to do the stuff that I love, you know, that I loved since I was like 12 or whatever.
Sure.
Which is just making stuff in a room by myself or with friends, and just getting that like giddy feeling of making music. And if it turns out I want to play some shows again, then I will. But for the most part,
something to play, you know, I can round together people, yeah,
for sure, yeah. But for the most part, I realised that the thing that I like really, really love, that's like, you know, irreplaceable, is just making stuff in a room. Yeah.
Yeah,
is that the same for you? Or is live? It sounds like playing live music is a big component of it for you.
It's interesting. If you'd actually asked me maybe 18 months ago, I would have said, oh, look, it's pretty hard to pick. Like, I love both and stuff. And I've enjoyed playing on records and doing stuff at home. But like, since going out on my own and doing my own thing where I have the flexibility to do, like I've done a lot of studio work, a lot of session work from home, a lot of engineering work, which was maybe not on my dance card when I first went out on my own to do this new venture of creative industries, basically. I was not necessarily thinking that would come up, but the amount of strangers that have come in and sat behind me on my drum kit and I've just tracked them and stuff like that was not on my dance card. But after having done that and also put out an EP, and now we're going to be up to, probably when this comes out, almost 4 singles with the Justice Trio, full self-production, all done here and all produced by me, I'm much happier on stage. And it doesn't mean I love it any less, but when you essentially, law of averages, the more time you get to do something, the more you're going to feel the emotions that it evokes. And when you're like, oh, I've got 7 things in the office and then I come back, but I know this weekend I'm going to record with the lads, that can fill that space, and maybe you don't have to worry about the stage bit because you're like, I got my music fixed for the week or whatever.
Sure.
But when I was doing season 4 of this pod, I had a good chat with John and I was like, I've just realized something, that I've filled the gap with my musical fix due to work and all the other things going on that fill my day to day with this, which I love. I love these conversations, love connecting with people like you and stuff. It's amazing. But
yes,
I don't... people like you. No. But I didn't realize you were English when you came in, so I was like, fuck. And it's only when you mentioned it. Exactly. I only had Dicko on, mate. That's one. That's one and done. That's enough. Someone British who's lived in Sydney, one and done, mate. That's enough. But like I came into this going, oh, this has actually just filled my musical fix for the week or for the fortnight or whatever. I haven't gotten better at my instrument, which is what sort of moves the needle for me. And now that I've pulled back and I do creative stuff all the time, I'm like, yeah, I can do a little bit of podcast, a little bit of studio and a little bit of drums. And then when I get my weekend time, I love being on the kit, I love being entertaining in front of an audience, being on stage. It's a feeling that's not similar at all. It's different, it's better. So for me, yeah, I think the stage has now well and truly been like, well, now that I have the time to do all of them, that would be the one I prefer.
Sure.
And then like thinking about touring and stuff, and when we did our road trip down New South Wales and going back to the US this year and stuff, I'm like, that's more cool to me than if someone says, guess what, Bailey, there's an opportunity. You can go into the studio for 1 week, that's it, and you just lock in. And I'd be like, that's fine. But I think there's a touch of the tism in the brain that'd be like, yeah, can we do something else? Like I'm a little bored. Can we
Sure.
Can we do something else? Can we play? Can we do something else? Whereas on the stage, I feel like there's so much going on, it never gets boring because every show is different.
And you don't get the chance to disconnect from it, like, because it's so immersive compared to a studio.
There's no downtime on stage.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really zone out, but you can zone out on stage actually. But generally speaking, you don't. Hopefully,
no. yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I don't know about you. I never really enjoyed studios. Maybe I haven't been in enough of them. But like you've got a setup here that's like it is a studio, but like I don't know if you feel the same. I don't like being in the over the top studios with all the kit, like with the biggest console you've ever seen and this thing from the 60s, and I don't really nerd out on it and get much out of it. In fact, I always feel like it kind of takes away what I like the most about recording and writing music, which is just like having the bare essentials and being in your little space.
Yeah, I think I can resonate with that. One thing I would say when I talk about you say maybe you haven't had enough experience. For me, I think I haven't had enough experience having, which is a nice problem to have, but having a real like gun to the head, skin in the game financially. That for me, I think I often talk about it, having experienced it through other people, but if I'm going to do a studio thing, I'm most often requested. And then if it's a band thing, for the most recent Delacoma stuff, you're sitting 1.5 meters away from where it all was done.
Sure,
obviously, the Justice Trio stuff was all done in here. Countless other tracks for other people and things have been done in there. I've never been like, okay, the band fund, which is all of our pennies, is going into these 5 hours. Let's make it work. Because I do well in a pressure situation, but not creatively.
Sure.
It's the path of least resistance. When I'm under pressure, it's what squeaky wheel needs to get the oil. And for me, that is the opposite of what will be conducive for a structured, creative environment. So for me, the big Larry studio could be very overwhelming, especially if you're fronting whatever's required to make it happen and you're checking your watch going, how many hours have we got left and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That for me would be a concern. So I'm happy doing it in a way where I can provide a space that doesn't feel daunting,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could hire a space where we could do the podcast so that, the background looked the same and had the same 4 lights and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I like the idea of sharing my home, and then maybe it makes the person across from me feel a little bit more relaxed and casual as well, that we're just having a chat.
For sure.
So I think the feeling that you get when you're under the pump and it feels pressure, whether that's time pressure or financial pressure, if that's present, I don't care if it's your bedroom, your mum's basement, or the state-of-the-art studio. If that's present, then that's not the vibe.
What did you say about my mum?
I'm sure her basement's fine. I'm sure her basement's fine. I'm sure it's fine. She said she'd do a good hourly rate, but I have no email response. I have no email response, so you should follow that up. I'm trying to do some sync work, okay?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know, you just want to be comfortable enough to make something cool, don't you? So for some people, I can totally understand why for someone that would be going in a place that's really inspiring, because
like a toy
it's
shop,
steeped in, exactly, and there's history, and you're like, wow, this person played this snare, oh my god, now I'm playing it, and that's going to help you channel some kind of. But for me, that just sounds maybe not terrifying, but there's something
a bit daunting.
Daunting. There's something that's a turn off in there, and I think it's because what I think it is the good old British classism that's like instilled in me, which is like it has to be, subtle and
I don't need ideas above my station.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, it shouldn't cost too much if you're going to make something good with it. And even though that's a stupid notion, but
two things can be true at the same time. Like something can be really expensive and posh and not deliver what the song serves, and things can be real cost effective and everyone goes, oh my god, Olivia did that, that's crazy. I used to put all my drum videos out when I was first like doing content-y stuff, I guess, and my overheads were SingStar microphones,
right?
So I had to make sure that the interface was always close enough that because there's no extension because they're just a TS out.
Oh,
So I had a mono TS out. I had to make sure that the cable was longer. So straight from the PlayStation 2 console.
Nice.
And they're just like a pretty cheap knockoff Sony cardioid microphone. Like at the same time, they have to work for stupid pissed idiots. So they must have a good enough, polar pattern to be able to pick up audio. And they did the job. And no one ever went, oh, I can tell. Obvious. But then I've also done recordings, like recently did one in Brizzy, and it was this amazing room. Like the room itself was very impressive for how understated and almost bland it looked on the outside. And I felt like it was really cool to be part of that space and just do my thing or whatever. But
I think I know the room that I saw the video.
Yes, I actually can't remember what it's called, but
Hunting Grounds.
That must be it. Yep.
Is it still run by Tristan?
Joel was on the console, so maybe, but Joel was the guy on the console, really nice guy.
Right.
And and that was the first time I'd done like Big Boy Studio like that since the cough. Like hadn't really come up. Hadn't come up. I'd been doing stuff at home. It hadn't really come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I felt comfortable, and that was the bit I remember.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny mentioning that studio actually, because that was like maybe like 12 years ago. I did some recording it must have been 12 years ago with a band of mine at the time. And yeah, that was actually a pleasant place to record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, that was one that I did enjoy, but I think it's more so down to the personnel. Like
totally.
Yeah.
I think, curating your selection in a way that it funnels a team that works, because like in these bigger situations you have a team and it's like much like when I'm doing stuff with the trio, it's a very small team and it's also the band. At the same time, it's like if you're doing it with good people, then I think an environment is the location is less than.
I find, I don't know if you come across this as well, because a lot of people have some kind of home setup, whether it's for making an end product or making a demo.
Yep.
I find it can go one of two ways with how open people are to collaborating, because a lot of people, it feels like it's very insular in their little world, their safe space, that sometimes to share that with someone else is like a bit much. I've come across that a fair bit as well. I think I've had that. I've been the person that's done that as well. When people have wanted to work together, I'm like, but all I've got is my little bunker, where I make my music. Can I really share this with someone else?
Yeah, okay. How did you sort of get around that? Is it only down the track that you went, I think I've done that. I think I've been that in
hindsight, for sure, when I realised, wow, really aren't a lot of co-writes on this album.
I wonder why. The guy that lives here, he's a prick.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. Yeah, so I was like, wow, this is good. I've managed to retain a lot of like copyright in it. Oh, it's because I was in my little hermit mode.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the album you just released, is that just you?
No, it was the one before that was, I don't think there were any credits from anyone else. Then again, it might have been around the time of the pandemic.
Sure.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But no, the one that's just come out does have some friends from Australia, some friends from England. Yeah, so it's a good mixture. Yeah.
Awesome. And is that just a series of stories you've collected over your time, or it has just more of a sonic theme, or?
Oh, I don't know. I think I don't know what ties it together. Really, there's something that ties it together. If I hear the songs, there is a common thread, but I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. Perhaps it's just a production approach, or maybe a certain mood or feel that kind of persists through the album. But also the players, I guess, like there's a lot of the same names popping up on different songs, so that helps. Like when I was in Manchester, I found myself sort of in the midst of like all of these music college performers that were excellent, and that kind of helped me stop being such a hermit in like, well, I'll track the drums, and I could have this person that's incredible at drums track the drums.
Okay, I love it.
So that was good. There was actually one very educational like moment where we were recording a song called Pockets. It's not on this album. It was just a one-off song I did with my friend Ryan Buxton. We wrote this song together just sort of for a laugh, and then paid for a day in the studio to track it with all our friends who are, like I say, they're like very, very lucky to be able to play, but I shouldn't be playing with these people at all, and they probably know it, you know. I think it's like a bit of a like I'm a Make-A-Wish kid. They're just treating me. Go on, let's give him a go on.
Some people want to meet John Cena. Other people just want to play with someone who's pretty good on the tubs.
Yeah. So thanks for that, fellas. I did ask for Cena as number one, but I couldn't make
Option
it.
two was
Option
good,
two, yeah. What was I saying? So yeah, we were recording in this studio called Green Velvet Studio in Manchester, and there's like a little amp booth thing. It's kind of like elevated. It's built into the wall, so It's got like a little drawbridge style door that kind of opens and closes to seal the amp off. You know, so you can track a live band but have the amp isolated in this little amp booth. And I was doing some guide vocals for the song with the band, kind of figuring out what to do and how to do it. And I didn't want to bleed, obviously, into their recording. So I just sat in the little amp booth with my SM58 and was doing some guide vocals and was just listening. I couldn't see anybody because I'm literally just in a little box with no window. Yeah. And I could hear them kind of in between takes figuring it out, you know, figuring out what to tweak and what not to touch. And, you know, I was so tempted to say my piece, of course, you know, and realise, oh, actually, I can totally just not say anything. I can't even see them. All I can do is listen to them discussing what to do with this song that we've written, because they are so good, so proficient in their instruments that I would for sure not be helping by trying to give, you know, I've given enough like guidance in kind of what we'd like to do with this song in a roundabout way. So that was cool. That was an interesting moment where I was like, they can't see me. They don't need to hear me. I can just listen to them figuring out how to record this song the best way possible.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And they worked together lots of times before?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, right, okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like you just got a bunch of really good people who were like, hi, my name's Tony, my name's Simon. Like, they all knew each other, so they already had chemistry.
Yes, they did, but they're also at this, like, level of professionalism and, like, excellence in what they do that they it could be that they didn't know each other, and I'm sure they would have been able to pull out. Yeah, they're just those kinds of people. Yeah.
What do you think about live tracking versus, I don't know, stack tracking? Are you like someone who's like, oh, if I'm going to get some players together, I want everyone to play at once and we have to do it live tracked? I know some people like really has to be live tracked, and others are whatever. Like when we did the Justice Trio EP, we all did it separately, and then when we did the most recent song, Get Better, we live tracked it with John playing guitar and singing with, in the cupboard, and then running leads all across the house, and Caleb and I playing bass and drums in here.
Nice.
And yeah, other than some mixing choices that I made in improvement from the EP, they sound the same. Like there's, you know, you wouldn't go, I can tell.
Yeah, I think my personal experience anyway is that live tracking makes for a nicer memory for you as the artist. Your enjoyment of the end product is nicer. Is it better for the audience? I don't really know. In fact, I doubt it, I'd say, because I guess it depends on what music you're making and how you like to make it. But, you know, if you really like to tinker and dial things in and edit like crazy, and, you know, again, it depends on the genre. If you're recording a bossa nova track, then no, it's probably better to let everyone in the room play it together. And but yeah, if you're recording any kind of modern pop or whatever it might be, then yeah, best to just stick to the single track and stack. But that's my preference anyway, because then I can tweak as I go. I remember a friend of mine, Vinny, kind of introduced me to that idea when he had kind of segmented a solo that he'd written for a song, and he'd record like, you know, 2 seconds of this solo that was up here on the neck, and then would press stop and then would do the next bit. And I was like, well, you're cheating. You don't cheat on the sound. And then I've listened to the end result. It's like, oh, it just sounds amazing. Of course, that's not cheating. That's making the best version of the song that you can. So, yeah, it's not as nice a memory as you shred in a nearly perfect
and
solo.
Everyone wanting to like clap and say woo because we're all together in headphones. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so I think it's just like a emotional thing to do that, to celebrate the live thing more, or maybe a traditionalist kind of thing. But I'm all for single tracking and just going one by one.
I've likened it to it's efficient but not necessarily effective. Like I should put more before that. It's more efficient if you spend the time to make sure everything was right. Like I did it the night before. I tracked everything. John had his gear here, so I made sure everything was coming into the place it needed to, going into the spot it needed to. Everything was going to track nicely. It was all a good level. And so it was more efficient, but I don't know if in the end it was more effective because I don't know if it necessarily added anything else. It was very funny for us to just be like having the GoPro in front of John and basically just like checking in with him through a microphone in the room where we'd be like, was that, you ready? Oh, sorry, you all good? You ready to go, John? Yeah, that should be fine. What did you say went wrong? No, I said, are you ready to go, John? Do you want to just go out? No, actually, let's not go out and see him. It's too funny. And the amount of videos I have one video of him just going, yeah, I don't really know what we're doing. And it's just him just in the cover just going, yeah, I don't know what we're doing. Whereas Caleb and I, we were just having a laugh because it's just funny because it was the two of us having a laugh at his expense. And
because think of all the time that he spent while you guys were just setting something up or working on something, and he was just a man in a cupboard, just in the dark.
And you've been a man in a cupboard. You know that world.
Absolutely.
You have been a foreign man in a cupboard. You've been that guy.
I'm sure there's some Harry Potter cupboard under the stairs joke waiting.
Well, I was going to say that actually that reminds me of when they did like the US or the abridged versions of Harry Potter. It was like Harry Potter and the like the sorcerer's stick or something. Like it was like it wasn't the philosopher's stone. It was like
saucy stick.
Yeah, just like Harry Potter and the foreigner's cupboard. And it's just you going, I was going to say something, but I'm not so sure now. Just going to let him talk. That's fantastic.
That's good. I mean, there probably is footage somewhere of me in a cupboard, not knowing if I should talk or not. I'm sure someone's filmed it in the studio cameras somewhere.
I'm sure there's footage of someone saying, so what we're going to do is we're going to tell him that where we put the amps. And I think that should be enough to get him in there.
Yeah, they're like 20 quid says we can get this bloke to sit in that cupboard.
Exactly. So they're all talking about what they're going to do on the song. They're just talking about what they're going to spend their 20 quid on.
Yeah, and I thought it was advanced music speak, but they were actually just describing the kebab they're going to order.
I didn't understand that. Oh, I reckon a little bit more sauce on that. And you're like, a bit more sauce on that. That's a great idea. They're like, hummus? Yeah, no, maybe barbecue. Yeah, you're right. We are cooking. I won't say a word though. I'll just let them cook. It's like, yeah, they saw you coming.
That's great. That's
awesome. So are you releasing stuff predominantly just as you, or do you have any alias or names special?
No, just as me. Yeah, like I've certainly had the itch to like change and start again and do that kind of thing over the years. Different names for different styles and that kind of thing. But no, I sort of realised some years ago that I prefer to just be the person that does a bit of everything, and that's quite liberating to just keep it all under the banner of just your name.
Yeah, I think don't overcomplicate the making more and more rules and gates for you to have to walk through. I was having this chat with someone on the pod a little while back, and he was talking about everything's going to be blank face, and then there's like 3 different things. There's like the soft, ballady, like almost like soundscapey stuff. Then there's going to be balls to the wall stuff that are pretty much it's written for the stage, and then there's going to be the stuff that is there may be like 6-minute songs, and they're going to be my version of Wonderwall sort of thing. It's going to be like really stoic songwriting pieces that are like, did you hear about this? It might not be for everyone, but the people who like it, it's going to be their number one song.
Sure.
And he said, but it's all me. And then sometimes I'll release a song 1, sometimes I'll release a song 3, sometimes I'll release a song 2. and then that'll just be how it goes. And then I'll collect them in EPs or whatever, but you just get a song and then you listen to it and you go, oh, this is one of his song 1 types, I think, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's cool because if people have a buy-in to you, then that's all that matters. Because if the buy-in is to you, you could do bloody deathcore nursery rhymes and they'd still be interested.
Yeah. You've heard my... It's good. It's good to know someone's
Mary
listening.
had a little bloody deathly lamb.
Mary had a slaughtered lamb.
Yeah, that was a much better version. I sounded like if I'd tried to make that joke through ChatGPT. when you give it like, could you please write this caption and focus on how fun and interesting and exciting the event's going to be. And it's like, we invite you to Harry's fun, interesting, exciting event. You're like, well, I could have fucking done that, couldn't I?
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I'm using ChatGPT a lot more at the moment because, like I say, I'm doing some graphic design kind of work or study and learning how to harness better skills in that world.
Oh, so you hate artists?
Yeah.
Good. I just want to double check. Fellow hater here, man. Like, absolutely. Every time I use Gemini or ChatGPT to make sure that I have the right syntax in a sentence, I'm like, rue you artists. Every time. I think about it every time. It's going to be very polarized, but some people are going to be like, okay, you had another British bloke on here. I was willing to let that slide. You had to go in his mother's basement. I'm going to let that slide. But you actually thinking that artists suck and that ChatGPT is more important, that's where I'm going to have to draw the line. So.
It is interesting that. So you have cooked steak in the air fryer? Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's good.
It's fucking unbelievable.
It doesn't dry out?
No, and it's got like this crisp style coating to it. And then basically the amount of numbers you pick in time determines how rare it is. It's far more simple rather than, looks really crispy on the top, but I don't really know if it's cooked it through. I'm guessing. Or flipping it. You know when you flip a steak that's like rare and it looks just like grey on the top and grey on the bottom. You can have a rare steak that has a nice colour on the top and the bottom that's been like properly cooked on the top, but then the middle is pretty much raw. You can absolutely have that rather than if the pan's not good enough or the barbecue's not red hot when you put it in. You obviously put it in a cold air fryer and as soon as it goes, it just knows what to do.
Yeah. See, I think the air fryer is like ChatGPT. It's like, it's killing the art.
He thinks air fryers are like ChatGPT. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was going to say, there's two episodes, this being the second one, where I think you could tell that the battery died and that we've come back.
Oh, it's fine.
Fucking air fryers are like ChatGPT.
Mate, don't I just know how to segue back from a
wee break?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's true. They're like, yeah, there's some, some use, some practicality, but there's no soul in it. It's not quite what you had in mind.
It's a little bit like the Back to the Future, like puts in the little sachet and it becomes a roast chicken with vegetables.
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know. I haven't seen Back to the Future in a long time.
I think it's say
but yes, yeah.
You in my house, but yeah. When like they go back to the future part and goes into the house and she's like, "Come on, Marty, I'm just about to cook dinner," and he puts it in, and she just gets this like popcorn sachet called roast chicken and vegetables, puts it in like this futuristic microwave, and in 30 seconds it's just a full roast dinner with like a full roast chicken, vegetables, gravy.
And that's where we're going with the air fryer. Do we want that? Are we happy with that? I mean, it sounds all right to me.
It looked very fake and like I wouldn't want to eat it, but at the same time, I think the amount of flammable material inside everyone's hair in that film as well was just as dangerous as anything through microwaves, but yeah.
Yeah, no, air fryers are all right. I'll lay off the air fryers.
Well, to segue from air fryers to you,
excellent.
Also someone that hates artists and is taking things for granted. What's next? Sorry, I couldn't finish it. I tried to get all the way through
it. It's so close.
I was like, you can clip that. Speaking of people that hate, that'd be an awesome clip. Yeah. But yeah, what's next for Harry? What's next for you?
It's my version of like a Kanye West interview, but I'm just going for like air fryers and ChatGPT.
You're just low hanging fruit. You're not going too extreme, but yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, what's next for you?
I've been since maybe like a year ago or a little less than a year ago, I'd just been finding pockets of time like once a week to record demos. So you know, I kind of mentioned I fell off the horse a little bit and was like, oh, how am I gonna do this arty stuff anymore? So I just started by doing what I could, which was I'd find a little bit of time, literally 2 or 3 hours, and just demo an instrumental idea. So I thought if I just do that consistently once a week, you know, in a year, that's 52 song ideas, right? Like
Totally.
A little blueprint for an idea that I can then kind of germinate into something bigger.
So yeast in the air fryer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see how we go.
So I got as far as like 40 demos and thought, fucking hell, that's enough.
Yeah, that's still good. That's
I think it was
commendable.
Just short of 40.
So you lied to me.
I may have. I
trying
corrected
to
the lie
me.
afterwards.
You were trying to impress me, and it worked. I won't lie, it did work.
Yes. I've got a friend that rounds numbers up all the time, and I call him on it. I'm like, you said 50, but was it really 40? He's like, yeah, it was 40.
Yeah. He's in your top 5 friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only have 3. Yeah.
Hey. So, yeah, basically, I've got like nearly 40 demos that I've now kind of started turning into a new album.
Cool.
And I decided it's funny, as soon as you take a little break from creativity, it's interesting how it's sort of come back with a vengeance, but given me a chance to undo some bad habits, I think. Well, maybe not bad habits, just habits in general around writing music and that kind of thing. So I'm really trying to make something just with far more intention than like I ever have in music. Not so much that it's kind of you don't want it to kind of suffocate the whole process of being, you know, spontaneous and creative, but just I'm trying to think like a director, I guess. I think this is the parallel I keep coming back to just in the back of my mind, is like trying to put like a body of work together from a directorial perspective rather than being like the person that has to do all the stuff. And it's interesting. So it's very early day. I guess I can't say much more than that because there isn't much more to say other than I think I've got a track list in instrumentals, and now it's time to put a set of lyrics together that kind of have some kind of cohesive flow through them. So it's starting to sound a bit concept albumy. It could, you know, I could descend into concept album territory. But yeah, interesting anyway. I'm just kind of following my nose and like taking my time, I think, for the first time ever, rather than being like, once I get this out, then I can do all the stuff that means I can do it again, but bigger and better. You know, so I'm trying to just fully enjoy it and think if this was the last thing I ever made, I'm not going to die. Just if this was one day I will, but
fuck off. First you tell me you're British, mate. Now you tell me you're going to die.
I know, yeah.
If you've made it this far through the air fryer stuff and all these like race crime stuff that he was saying before, and then you're going to find out you're going to die, that either might make you feel chuffed or make you quite sad.
So I don't know. I'm just trying to like go all in with this idea that I vaguely have, but go all in with enjoying making it as big and weird and wonderful as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's an album. I'm making an album. That's what you wanted.
I'm just going to cut it down to you just going, well, so what's next for you? I'm making an album. That's what it is. And everyone will be like, such a weird response to Bailey's question. I feel like there might have been something you missed in the middle. No, didn't miss anything. Didn't potentially miss 4.5 minutes where Harry blacked out.
Yeah. I was just trying to make myself sound complex.
No, very mysterious. Very mysterious. You told me you might die soon, so that's pretty mysterious. But no, it's good. Well, I'd love to. I feel like we could do this for 3, 4, 5 hours. Fuck, you're gonna die that soon. Shit. Okay, sorry. I'll wrap this up then. But no, I would love to know, where can lovely people find you? Where can people discover what you're doing? Your other irons in the fire. Now you can put your promotion hat on and you can talk about your concept album.
Let's pop it on. Yeah. So Harry Hart AU is the handle in most places. harryhart.com is generally where I'll put any new releases. The most kind of interesting interaction I try and have, I guess, with people that are interested is through the newsletter, which is on my website. I try not to go too heavy on the social media stuff, and speaking of other irons in the fire, something I did want to mention was this coffee company that I just kicked off at the start of the year called Sippy Downs Coffee Company. So this is like a totally new venture. I've never really invested time in anything other than music, but now feels like the time to try that out. And coffee is the only thing that comes close to like, what do I enjoy as much as something like art? So yeah, so basically there's a coffee company called Sippy Downs Coffee Company that is giving money to Support Act, a Aussie music charity. With every bag of coffee that we sell, it's all roasted in the sunny coast in Queensland.
Nice.
Yes, go to sippydownscoffee.com.au, buy some coffee.
Like
Give it a try.
Threat at the end, but yeah, like that's fine. Like
that was
that
wasn't a finger wag.
A little bit threatening. It's like a
was
jump
my-
scare.
that was
Some
my
people scan
uncle's
it frame by frame. It's just gonna be
my Fight Club finger.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
So yeah, just a fun new venture. I'm like learning how to come up with a profile, like a coffee profile, how to work on blends and how to work in a completely different industry. It's cool. It's interesting, and it's interesting how much of it relates back to working in music as well. Like you can learn from stuff beyond music. I'm just discovering in my early 30s, you know.
But that's cool though. It's nice that you're having a hit, and I think it's but you know, they say like the best time to do it's yesterday, second best time's today. So like you had a thought and you went, yeah, I might have a go.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
why not?
Yeah. And it's like everything's slightly music themed, as you'll discover.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Support Act thing's a nice way to give a nod to.
Yeah, for sure. Those guys helped me in the past, so it's like a no-brainer, really. Yeah.
Oh, it's very nice. Oh, I'm pleased. I'm keen to have a nice brew. Myself.
How many bags did you say you were buying today? Was it just on camera on the mic?
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I got all nervous then. I edit this. 400. I don't know, 400. I'll become a partner in the company. I don't know. What I'll just delete the fucking.
We got him.
Yeah. Scotty, send him in. So I don't know. I edit this. I don't even know why I'm getting jittery about it. Well, I wouldn't be getting jittery because I assume it's lovely coffee.
Exactly, and we do have a decaf. Yeah. Avoid those jitters.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna have decaf. Like, I want my missus to come home and still love me. And she needs it to. No, she doesn't need it to still want to love me. She just needs it in the mornings.
How long you been with your missus?
3 years. Yeah, 3 years and some change. And next April we get married.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Get married here?
Yeah, on the sunny coast, yeah. So she's originally from Victoria as well, like me. We actually met through band connections. We met through music. Mm-hmm. I played in a band with her boyfriend.
Okay.
Cool. And he'll be at the wedding, which is great.
Cool.
Yeah, super cool. But yeah, so basically, band fell apart as they do when you're in high school, early uni days. And I moved
saw
up.
An opportunity?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, well, no, we were just mates throughout the whole thing. Never went any further than that. And I moved up in 2019, and basically, well before it was fashionable to flee Victoria, I moved up with mum and dad because we wanted to change. And then sort of during a cough, Erin was struggling with just her work life and just stuff with just, what do I do day to day? I'm not allowed to work. I'm not allowed to leave the house. And then what's really keeping me here? And then the big questions started asking.
Yeah,
and then it was sort of like, rather than having people go, oh, you've been silly, it'll brush over. People are like, if you really feel that, have a hit, have a go. And she's like, I'm going to see what it's like. So she was able to come up a couple of times and then was like, no, I think this is the business. And thought I was all right as well.
Yeah,
so we sort of pick up where we left off. And it was just one of those things where now she thinks about it, she's like, oh, I've never looked back. I love so many things about where I grew up, but I love so many things about here. And so it was just one of those cool things where she just had to go and was like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? I could just go home. I could just go back. Like, I got mum and dad. I could make it work, but I'm going to give this a red hot crack.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, so it's crazy. And now she travels more of Queensland than even I have.
Oh, right.
For work. So it's crazy. So, so where you can find me is... Is there anything else you want to ask me before you wrap it up? It's one of those things where it's like, and I think for yourself might be the same, because I ask questions of people and I really enjoy asking questions of people that I feel in a lot of cases have not had anything more than a nice set man or song sounded good sort of interaction. For me, I'm always trying to seek that out of other people, because that's how the whole thing started. It started during the cough. This whole podcast started during the cough because I was like,
it's just making me laugh. I've not even heard that
because I I had to get in the habit of that because everything would get demonetized and flagged with like medical false information if I ever used the words. So because I started it then because I was like, there's people that are gonna need an outlet that might want to share some stories that might be interesting to other people. And there's musos. And then I thought about it. I was like, that's the same fucking circle on the Venn diagram. Like, it's one circle.
Yeah.
They're the people that I can easily talk to because I know them. So it's not like I'm having to throw myself into an industry where I'm nobody. And I wouldn't be able to do this with people anyway. So I may as well just catch up with all my Victorian friends, all my international friends, people that still come to shows when we tour in the States. Start with all them because I don't really have a massive local following, but I will do that as well. And then progressively as the seasons picked up, I did less and less over online and stuff and other than internationals, and then just kept moving my way to now. It's like I just love the hangs. For me, it's just hangs with mics, really. Yeah,
for sure. It's just like music. It's just like a great excuse to hang with the fellas.
It's one of those things when people say, oh, is the podcast is like a bit of like a side hustle thing. I was like, oh no, it does not make me a cent. But it makes a lot in the emotional bank account, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I really enjoy this and getting to know people. And, you know, I understand that as much as for me, it's like this is my home. Like, you talk about you as much as you're comfortable. It's also a bit of a like, wow, I'm going to a stranger's place, you know, I hope I feel comfortable sort of thing. And if I can do that in any way to allow you to have a chat about what makes you tick and what moves the needle for you, then everyone's a winner.
Yeah, it's cool. And I'm guessing you get plenty of people like me that come across it and like, oh, it'd be nice to come and do that.
Yeah, now more so. Like since the fourth season, more consistently, and I love to make time for that because it's like I already love this, but I don't have to convince you that it's a cool concept. Let's get in a room together because like sometimes it's like I'd love to talk to this person. How can I make that happen? And then a little part of you is like, I have to sort of convince them to be keen. Often I'm wrong, and turns out they love it, and it's where we pick up where we left off. But you know, you can have a great friend and a great muso and someone with awesome stories, but also that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great or enthusiastic guest. Some people just aren't. It's just not how they go, and that's fine, and that's absolutely fine. But to have someone like yourself be like, I'd love to chat, you know. For me, I think that's Christmas because I'm like, sweet, I would have done that anyways. But But now I know you're like keen for it. That's awesome too.
Yeah.
You only ridiculed me 6 or 7 times. So
to be honest, that's pretty good going.
Nice.
That means you're all right.
I've had an impact. So that's fantastic. Great. And that's what we can write one of the songs about.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sitting down with me and for having a chat and for sharing a bit of your story. I really enjoyed learning more about you and sort of over-explaining all of my special interests.
No, it's cool. Thanks, Matt. Like, I don't know many people on the sunny coast. Like I say, it's been kind of a different, of all the places I've moved, I've kind of gone, right, I'll get there and then play loads of shows, and before you know it, you're in the fold.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And it's obviously been very different this time with, you know, starting a family and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's nice to just connect to people that like doing cool stuff in the area. And I'm sure there's many more that I don't know about as well. So yeah.
Well, that's actually one thing, like that abundance mentality, but also the idea. I came from a similar spot. Like you have come in with now a young child, which eventually will go through schooling and things, and you get a connection that way just because you have to. But then for me, moving up as a mature age with, you know, parents that had no connection to school or uni anymore, well and truly, like at 19, I didn't have any sporting connections. I didn't have any music connections. I never went to school with anyone. I never went to uni with anyone. So I was like, I got to start with just music and having a bat and having a go and seeing what sort of pops up because I didn't have any other thing to fall back on. Whereas for you, you've traveled lots and done stuff, and now you're like, well, I'm not just going to do ravenous shows. So what's my next thing? Which is cool. It's exciting. I found it quite exciting.
Yeah, it's quite nerve-wracking, really, when you know, I'd almost kind of hacked the whole like, here's how you move.
Yeah, you get here, play 14 shows, then you get on the notice board, and then everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, and because I couldn't fall back on that this time, I'm like, I can't start a coffee company. Like, just interesting how like all of a sudden you
coffee company instead of any sort of introspection.
yeah. Our thoughts are coming quick. Make a coffee blend. So it's just I don't know, doing it different, mixing it up. Yeah, it's been nice. Met people I wouldn't have met otherwise. So
that's
cool.
what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
It's good to meet you, dude. You're a good egg. I can see that. It's our first interaction. I can see you. You're a good egg.
Well, guys, that is another episode of the Ask Muso podcast. Harry's a champ. Little abrasive, but nothing you can't get past with a few drinks of coffee. We'll put that in. I'll fucking put that in. So he's a champ. So as always, guys, you know where to find all these episodes. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all the places. And if you've got anyone that is less British than Harry or more interesting, or as equally as interesting, I should stop letting you because you're actually a champ. Yeah, aim for more. Yeah, don't settle. Yeah. If you do have anyone that you think should be sitting in that magic hot seat where Harry's sitting right now, then sing out, drop me a message, drop me an email, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So as always, until next time, I'll see you later.